The show starts with a female fighter called Alexia who was pursuing down two devils in the woods, alongside her troopers, that these evil spirits had the option to make their break by leaping off the mountains as they self-isolated in a close-by town. We see a kid called Heron who has recently wrapped up mining some metal. He goes to the market to sell it, yet the dealer just winds up giving him only 2 silver coins. Unexpectedly, there was a mayhem in the market square. Collectively of heroes drove by. Alexia questions the locals that they saw any devil around and encourages them to return to their different houses so they can look through the entire spot. Heron finds an old man who was gravely harmed and rapidly takes the man to his mom for treatment, while he goes to get some water for cleaning his injuries. On his way, he finds a lady resting inside a pool. Also, as he goes to check, he finds that the lady is now dead. Before he can understand anything, a devil digs out from a deficit and began to assault. Heron rapidly draws out a blade to guard himself, yet the devil is excessively strong for him to overcome. As the devil is going to kill him, Alexa shows up and cuts the devil on its chest with her lance, yet killing such strong demon wasn't sufficient. At the perishing second when the devil is going to kill Alexa, Heron digs out from a deficit and smacks its face with a light. Yet, a devil figures out how to make its break, while Alexa keeps on chasing it down. Every one of the locals were approached to shut down their shops, while Alexa and her fighters began to look through the entire spot cautiously, until she sees the harmed individual passing by and rapidly nails the individual to the cold earth, as she finds that it was the devil masked as a man, and the orders her men to remove the evil spirit. Alexa assembles a conference among every one of the locals, so she can demonstrate to them that the stories of devils and beasts are genuine. The devil they caught is restricted and is tied to a support point. Alexa takes a hot iron and as she spears it to the devil's chest, it uncovers the genuine character of the devil, which shocks locals. The devil tells everybody that they should change over or pass on. Yet, before the devil could say any more word, Alexa executed him before everybody, while another evil spirit who observes this takes off. After the entire episode, Heron and his mom takes the injured elderly person to their home. Heron is at shock, as he could hardly imagine how devils truly exists, making the old man to recount to him a story on how the beasts came to existence 1,000s of years prior, yet titans and divine beings went on a truly extreme fight. Yet, when the divine beings figures out how to curb the last titans, that left a revile on the divine beings as the ocean became red, which brought forth huge animals, who was brought into the world with a solitary reason, which was to obliterate the domain of the divine beings. The divine beings and the Goliaths battled unendingly, yet none of them had the option to overcome each other until Zeus splits the difference with a portion of the monsters and had the option to end the conflict by having the Goliaths deceive one another. The god called Hermes had the option to assemble every one of the spirits of the Goliaths and traps had underneath the sea perpetually, yet the elderly people men presumed that a man later found where the monsters were caught, and when more men likewise found it, they began to benefit from the Goliath's body, which transformed them into devils. Heron asks why the divine beings were never helping them in their difficult situations, yet the old man lets him know that the people will possibly appear to be frail or futile, assuming the divine beings are mediating constantly. The following morning, Alexia meets with Heron, since she is so dazzled with how boldly he battled those devils a few evenings ago, proposes to him to join her champions, since she's anticipating going on a fight with devils, yet Heron denies, as he would rather not battle for those equivalent locals who deserted him and his mom. Heron returns home and attempts to make his mom pack her gear so they can go far away from the town, yet his mother objects, as she accepts that wasn't the most secure thing for them to do. Perceiving how reluctant he is, she then chose to attempt to uncover to him that he was rarely a jerk. Also, before she could say any more word to him, a few locals came to their home with hot metals with them, since they needed to test Heron's mother, as they trust she's one of those devils. Heron couldn't acknowledge this and was prepared to battle each of them 6 to his demise, yet not believing her child should get injured any further by the locals. Heron's mother puts the hot metal on her hand, to demonstrate she's not a devil, and other to stop the battle. Heron is loaded with lament on why he didn't join Alexa in halting the devils. The old man tells him that he detects an immense conflict coming and encourages Heron to go to the peak, where he will find a strong metal, which he can use to make an indestructible sword that will assist him with guarding himself from those devils. As Heron continued on going up to the mountain to find the ore, we see a divine being known as Ares, who shows up before the elderly person, calling him the Lord of Rulers. The elderly person abruptly changes to his more youthful structure, and he has uncovered to be Zeus himself. Zeus doesn't believe the divine beings should mediate with the human circumstances and firmly accepts that Heron can prompt people on a conflict against those devils. Heron later shows up with the generally found in the peak, and gave it over to the elderly person, so he can fashion the strong sword for him. Soon thereafter, a Heron went to his mom to know the importance of an odd dream he had on when she was delegated a sovereign. His mother lets him know his fantasies were right, that quite a while in the past, she had to wed the Lord of Corinth known as Perienter, yet during that time, she likewise stands out of Zeus, who goes gaga for her and typically masks himself as the ruler to meet with her. Yet, one day Zeus uncovers his character to her. Yet, when Zeus' spouse called Hera learned about this, she turned out to be so envious and orders a spirits to assist with tormenting Lord Perienter in his fantasies, letting him know that his significant other will before long bring forth twins, and one of them won't be his natural kid, and that kid was Heron. When Heron was conceived, the Lord attempts to kill him for not being his organic child, yet his mom shows up and kills the ruler so she can save her child Heron. Zeus later removed them both a long way from the town so that the envious Hera will not have the option to track down them. After Heron paid attention to this story, he ended up being so angry, on the grounds that Zeus never meddled when they required him the most, making his mom to at last uncover to him that the old man who has often been remaining with them is no one else than his dad Zeus. In the meantime, we see Alexa and her troopers, who were battling with the devils boldly, yet large numbers of them were killed in the battle. Zeus later appears to Heron and uncovers his actual character to him, determined to request mercy for not aiding Heron and his mom in the difficult situation, yet Heron angrily advises him to disappear, not having any desire to have a say in him once more. Alexa later appears as she cautions Heron to escape since she was being pursued by a three-headed animal called the Cerberus. We later see two divine beings called Apollo and Ares who were going to fight with one another in Colosseum. Abruptly, Zeus caught Ares and questions him on why he educated Hera regarding Heron. Hera likewise shows up and lets Zeus know that she definitely had some awareness of the mystery at any rate, and inquires as to whether he at any point had any sentiments. Zeus said okay, yet he confesses to adoring Electra too. Heron's mom, making Hera truly loaded up with envy and outrage, and commits herself to kill both Electra and her child Heron, yet Zeus cautions her never to lay her hands on them. Yet the overprotective Zeus abruptly eliminates the mist so he can be watching out for Heron and his mom Electra. In the interim, we see Heron and Alexia fighting with a three-headed animal. They were effectively ready to kill one of the heads, yet were abruptly encircled by devils. Alexa need to make her break to Polis, and quickly Alexia takes off. Heron goes into the market square to look for his mom Electra. After Heron killed a few devils on his way, this stands out of the devil lord who began to go after him utilizing his mystical lance. Zeus sees every one of these from a higher place and murmurs to Heron on the guidelines on staying away from the looming assaults of the devil, and Heron was later ready to cause a blast, permitting him to make his break, and furthermore making the evil spirit lord to lose hint of him. Heron runs back to Polis and keeps on looking for his mom, while his different locals were attempting to escape from the devil assaults. The devil lord, who is uncovered to be called Seraphim, stops them and undermines them concerning Alexia whereabouts, and even kills a man who provides some insight about where Alexa could be. This gives us an impact on how savage the devil lord is, as the evil spirits were searching for Alexia. Zeus chose to subtly mediate by concealing all hints of Alexia, and when Hera noticed this, she chose to utilize the chance to bring down Heron and his mom Electra, by diverting Seraphim as devils to her area, and she was likewise ready to turn different divine beings against him, so he will not meddle in that frame of mind going to happen to Electra and Heron. Zeus' sibling Poseidon additionally agrees with her stance since he needs no gore between them. In the meantime, Seraphim caught Electra and inquiries for the whereabouts of Alexia. Electra looks into overhead anticipating that Zeus should take care of her, yet nothing occurs. Heron sees this and races to help his unfortunate mother, yet he was handily taken out by Seraphim. Despite the fact that he over and over attempts to fend off the devil, he continues to get crushed. Zeus is compelled to look as Seraphim murders Electra without blinking, while Heron, who sobs in torment, is taken as captive. In the interim, we see Alexia, who is as yet making her break from the devil through the woods, as she's being cautious the risk that could leave away. She sees many individuals who were killed by the devils, and furthermore sees Zeus, who is veiled as an elderly person. The demise of his adored Electra illuminates Alexia that Heron has been caught by the devils. Electra's soul is taken to the hidden world, and Hermes shows her the door, which is a qualification between the dead and the living, and furthermore advised the spirits to take great consideration of. Yet before she could leave, she requested that Hermes permit her to see her child Heron once and for all. Electra can show up in Heron's fantasy, letting him know that there is joy after death, and encourages him to be solid for the difficulties that is to come. Hera later meets with Seraphim, as she drives him to do homage her. Hera shows him a dream on how his dad was killed when he was as yet a child, making his uncle Periander to assume control over the lofty position. Later tosses him from a high structure to kill him, yet he was saved by a castle servant, who guaranteed herself to safeguard it. She takes off with him into the woods, where she deals with him, along with a bear. Yet, Seraphim's uncle Periander and his men had the option to find them and kill the worker who dealt with him. Yet, Seraphim had the option to make his break to the ocean, where the monster's remains were kept after the feeds on the tissue of Goliaths. That is the way Seraphim can change into a devil, starting the new time of evil spirits. Back to the present, Hera attempts to cause Seraphim to accept that it was all Zeus' issue, put his mom's demise on Zeus, encouraging Seraphim to rather concentrate every one of his endeavors and energy on attempting to get his payback by killing Zeus. Heron is now oppressed by the devils and simply being taken to the display available to be purchased. We figure out that Alexia is as yet alive, who later rejoined with her close buddy known as Chiron, was the head of that town. Alexa visited him since she needed a guiding on a unique guide she currently possesses. Chiron tells her that is a star map that prompts the area on where the Goliaths were covered. Abruptly, Seraphim appears and was going to kill them all. Yet, Chiron chose to give up Alexa easily, in return for the security of his kin. Later on, Hera shows Seraphim the area of the strong blade that Zeus made for Heron, which is sufficiently able to slice through mountains, and directed him to utilize the sword to kill Heron. We see Heron, who was taken into bondage in a slave transport, yet he had the option to steam alongside different detainees by killing the slave drivers and assuming command over the boat. Hermes reports to Zeus that he saw Helo cooperating with Seraphim, driving the god truly mad. What's more, Seraphim appears on a slave boat and attempts to kill Heron. Zeus at last chose to meddle by utilizing his lightning bolt powers to stop him, which wrecks the boat all the while. Hera is so irate with Seraphim for attempting to go after a divine being that this influences our arrangements, as she trains Seraphim to find a strong curio called Cauldron of Dimness, which can be utilized to kill Zeus. Zeus tells Alexia to pass on different detainees to Melindo, so they can make up for their past sins by going on a mission underneath a secret spot in the ocean, so they can torch the remaining parts of the monsters, which will at last end the time of devils for good. A Heron needs to vindicate his mom's demise by killing Seraphim. Yet, Zeus lets him know that he has other better plans, as he calls a huge bird to take him to Olympus, where the divine beings live. A Heron is currently among the divine beings who were upset that Zeus has carried him to their place, yet some of them invites him, while some gave him various put-downs, considering him a treated. Hera knows about this, yet Zeus truly needs to end his contention with her, as he is sorry to Hera as he lays the fault on himself. Yet, when Hera consents to pardon him, provided that he kills Heron, yet Zeus couldn't consent to this, making the conflict between the divine beings considerably more fiercer. To plan her run from Hera's messages, Zeus started to give him a serious preparation in stadium, as he should overcome a robot officer without depending on his outrage. Yet, he over and over gets crushed by the robot, as he was unable to let his outrage go. Incidentally, Heron's outrage was on why Zeus permitted Electra to pass on without taking any kind of action, making Zeus to truly confess to him of being weak on occasion. At the point when Heron raises the subject concerning having his vengeance of Seraphim who killed his mom, Zeus abruptly chose to uncover to him that Seraphim is his relative. Following a difficult day, Heron is effectively ready to let his outrage go, which made him to overcome the robot at last. Later on, Hermes seems to let us know Heron that infection needs to see him. At the point when Heron goes to see them, divine beings educates him to be cautious on the grounds that regarding the impact he will hold in coming occasions. And furthermore shows them a dream of Alexia and different detainees who are in serious peril. A Heron needs to proceed to save his companions, yet Zeus demanded him on not going, since he's not thoroughly prepared. After few seconds, Zeus goes to meet Seraphim and lets him know that Hera is simply attempting to trick him and shows him a dream of his past where he has consistently saved him at whatever point he's in harm's way. So he ought not be misled by Hera since he didn't have anything to do with what occurred in his life. So it's likewise given him a coin. Also, with the assistance of the coin, Seraphim was at last ready to find his uncle that attempted to kill him when he was a baby, and was at last ready to seek his retribution. Then again, Alexia and the detainees were joined by Heron, who helped them in finding where they can find the Goliath's remains and torch them, so they can end the devil time for good. Heron encourages them to be truly cautious and possibly continue pushing ahead without thinking back since, supposing that not, they'll be generally killed, yet Alexa advises him to go to his town, as they can't put his life in danger to as Alexia and the gathering quietly moved towards the doors. Numerous spirits in deception face began to control their brains and some of them couldn't avoid wound up dead by doing so. Well, Alexa and what's left of the gathering had the option to come to the opposite side. Heron later shows up to help them, and he questions Alexa assuming she has the guide. We should complete this. Alexa, Heron and the others strolled for a truly lengthy miles before they had the option to show up at their area, yet sadly, they couldn't find the monster's remains they were searching for. Seraphim abruptly shows up with his devil-armed forces, as we figured out that he was the one that took the monster's remains. He attempts to persuade Heron into going along with him on his shrewd plans, so they can end the domain of the divine beings, since this is a result of all the mayhem is occurring. Yet, as Heron dismissed the deal, since he would rather not hurt his dad, a battle unexpectedly started between them all. The gathering had the option to escape from the devil-armed force as we see them sitting on a monster bird and removes them. As per Hera's directions, Seraphim goes to where the relic called the cauldron has been kept, and he can acquire ownership of it. As the watchmen of the cauldron began to go after him. Yet, with the assistance of the strong blades that Zeus made, he had the option to end the watchman, and figures out how to escape from a spot safe. At the point when Hela removes the cauldron from him, she utilizes its all-powerful powers to revive the Goliaths resurrected. Later on, Hermes shows up before Zeus to give him a few informations. Yet, before Zeus could understand it, he pierces a blade on his throat, as that individual turns out not to be Hermes, yet Hera who masks herself as Hermes. As the monster began to head towards Olympus, time makes an arrangement with them to give them domain over the oceans, that they can kill Zeus. While Zeus' sibling Poseidon, who sees every one of these, returns to Olympus, Zeus figures out how to fix himself from his injuries utilizing his lightning powers, while Poseidon goes along with him in the battle, as he is going to gamble with the ocean to the monsters. He prompts Zeus that the main way they can undoubtedly end the conflict, so in the event that they could reclaim the cauldron from time, which she uses to control the monsters, so Zeus chose to battle with Hera, so they can utilize her interruption to remove the cauldron from her. Heron volunteers to look for the cauldron on the grounds that Harold won't anticipate that he should the one go for. When the monsters shows up, another huge conflict starts, which is the fight between the Goliaths and the divine beings. Heron sits on his monster bird when he saw where the cauldron has been kept, which was concealed in the mists encompassed by groups of blackbirds. At the point when Zeus crushed Hera at a battle, it allows Heron the opportunity to recover in cauldron. Hera was abruptly sold out by the monsters whom she favored them as they were going to polish her off. We figure out that Zeus actually adores her regardless of the shrewd she has committed, as he forfeits himself so he can save her life. Seraphim removes the cauldron from Heron while Hera makes her break. Heron goes on a one-on-one battle with Seraphim, and after he was crushed by the devil he is left with no other decision, yet to pierce himself with a lance, which breathes Seraphim too. Yet again abruptly Heron unwittingly releases Zeus' lightning bolt, and in the shock that kills Seraphim quickly, Heron acquires ownership of the cauldron and seals every one of the Goliath spirits within it, and taking harmony back to the world. Thank you for watching the video guys. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button.